What happens when a mysterious carrot-chomping drifter becomes the deadliest man alive for one night? It all starts when Smith, a man with nothing to lose, finds himself delivering a baby in the middle of a gunfight, with an army of assassins on his tail and a ruthless hitman named Hertz leading the charge. What follows is 90 minutes of pure, over-the-top chaos, gunfights in freefall, shootouts while having sex, and enough bullets to wipe out a small country. Mr. Smith sat alone at a deserted city bus stop, quietly chewing a carrot. He looked tired but alert, a man used to long nights and silence. Out of the darkness, a pregnant woman appeared, running as fast as she could while clutching her stomach. A man with a gun chased her, shouting for her to stop. Smith watched the scene unfold, his expression calm but curious. When the woman stumbled into a warehouse across the street, the man followed, weapon raised. Smith sighed, stood up, and walked after them, still holding his carrot. Inside the warehouse, the woman, breathing hard, pointed a gun at the man. The gunman nonetheless moved closer, confident that he had cornered her. Just as he lifted the gun to fire, Smith stepped in and shoved the carrot into his mouth, breaking it off and punching him in the face. The man fell backward, but the sound drew attention. More armed men rushed in. Smith ducked behind cover as bullets tore through the air. He grabbed a fallen pistol and returned fire with calm precision. Between bursts of gunfire, the pregnant woman screamed. The stress had sent her into labor. Smith realized she was about to give birth in the middle of the fight. He slid toward her, shooting as he moved, and told her to push. The attackers kept coming, and Smith fought them while helping the woman deliver her baby. Smith cut the umbilical cord with a spent bullet casing and handed the child to its mother. But before she could hold him properly, another shot rang out. The woman was hit and collapsed. Smith fired back, finishing the last of the gunmen. The mother died at the spot. Without time to grieve, he wrapped the newborn in his jacket and ran. He climbed the stairs to the roof, holding the baby close. Gunmen followed, bullets hit the walls around him. When his ammunition ran out, he fought them hand to hand, then jumped across to the neighboring building through the window into the empty room. Behind him, the attackers retrieved the dead woman's body. Moments later, their leader, Carl Hertz, arrived, a sharp-eyed, methodical man who examined the scene as if solving a puzzle. When one subordinate remarked that how Smith got there and how he was unable to kill the women because she had a gun, Hertz shot him instantly, showing how little tolerance he had for mistakes. At dawn, Smith walked through the city with the baby hidden under his coat. People stared but said nothing. The mixture of blood and exhaustion on his face warned them to stay away. He entered a public restroom to clean his weapon, which had fallen into a toilet during the earlier fight. As he tried to dry and reassemble the gun, he saw a pair of shoes stop outside his stall. A gunman had followed him in. Smith waited, timing the moment. The door burst open, both men fired, and the confined space filled with smoke. When the noise stopped, the attacker was dead. Smith slipped out, tucking the gun into his jacket and keeping the baby close. Later that morning, he boarded a city bus. He sat near the back, the baby wrapped tightly in cloth, pretending to be a tired commuter. A mother nearby held her own infant, and Smith watched her for a moment before pulling a small sock from his pocket and sliding it over the baby's head like a hat to make him less noticeable. The child stayed quiet through the ride. When the bus reached a park, Smith got off and walked toward an empty bench surrounded by trees. He placed the baby on the seat, wrapped securely in a blanket, and stepped back. Maybe, he thought, someone kind would find him. He turned and started walking away. Across the park, a black sedan rolled to a stop. Inside sat Hertz, who had just received a call saying the target had been spotted. He took out a pistol, steadied it against the window frame, and aimed directly at the child. Before he could fire, a woman in the park crossed his line of sight. The shot went off by accident, startling the park. Smith spun around at the sound, realized what was happening, and sprinted back. He reached the bench, snatched up the baby, and ran as Hertz cursed and started the engine. Smith disappeared through a side street, holding the child to his chest. Carrying the baby, Smith headed for a district he knew well, home to an old acquaintance named Donna Quintano, DQ to most. She was a prostitute who specialized in nursing clients and was known to be lactating, the only person he could think of who might feed a newborn. At the brothel, she was finishing with a client when Smith burst in, sweaty and armed, carrying the baby. She was shocked but curious. He offered her money to look after the child for one day, explaining that the mother had been murdered and killers were still after the baby. Donna frowned, suspecting he had stolen the infant. Smith denied it, insisting the baby was in danger. When she refused, he left, disappearing back into the streets. Elsewhere, Hertz sitting in car with the woman's dead body, watching men being buried. The dead were his men from the warehouse. His face was expressionless, but his words were sharp as he ordered the survivors to find the baby. Thinking like an investigator, he concluded that whoever had the infant would need milk, and therefore they should check every lactating prostitute and wet nurse in the city. His men scattered to obey. Later that day, Hertz and several gunmen entered the same brothel. He questioned Donna about a man with a baby. Nervous, she admitted he had come, but said he left soon after. and she knew nothing more about him. Hertz didn't believe her. He grew aggressive, threatening her until she cried. As he pressed harder, a gun cocked behind him, Smith had returned. He aimed at Hertz and told him to back off. Hertz smirked, claiming Smith's weapon was empty. Smith fired anyway, hitting him in the shoulder. Hertz fell, and Smith grabbed Donna and the baby. They ran through the corridor, out into the street, and stole a car. Behind them, Hertz stood up. He was not killed, but protected by his bulletproof vest. Driving fast, Smith explained everything to Donna, the pregnant woman, the birth, the attack. Donna suggested going to the police, but Smith refused, saying whoever was behind this controlled too much of the system. Donna held the baby, beginning to realize how deep they were in trouble. They stopped next at a pawn shop. Smith tried to sell some belongings to get cash for ammunition and supplies, but the clerk offered him very little. Outside, he noticed a man watching Donna and followed him into an alley, suspecting he was one of Hertz's. He caught Donna with the man behind a dumpster. On knocking the man out, Donna said she was just doing her job and needed the money. When Smith returned, Donna was already paying him off with money she'd gotten by pawning. She had also bought a tiny bulletproof vest for the baby. She said vest was more important than a crib. Smith inspected it and nodded his thanks. There was a flicker of understanding between them now. Reluctant allies bound by the same danger. That night, Smith led Donna and the baby to an abandoned factory he called home. It was a grim place of broken machines and steel dust, but it offered shelter. The door was opened by a complex trap. A mouse was used to unlock it. Smith, on entering, turned on the television, hoping for news about the shootings. There was none. Someone powerful was keeping it off the air. When the baby cried, Smith switched to a heavy metal channel. The loud guitar instantly quieted the child. Smith found it weird that the child was heavy metal started playing. He named him Oliver then. Across town, Hertz, while passing through the city, said he knew where they are hidden. Following intuition, he drove to the area near Smith's hideout and ordered his men to surround it. Inside, Smith heard footsteps outside and told Donna to take Oliver and get to the elevator. He stayed behind to fight. The building erupted with gunfire as men stormed through the doors. Smith shot from behind machinery, moving fast, reloading calmly even as bullets tore through walls. Donna made it to the elevator and reached the ground floor. Smith kept firing until the last man fell, then slipped down a chute and met Donna outside in an alley. They ran until they reached safety. Hidden between two dumpsters, Smith began to connect the pieces. He said that the mother might have lived near a nightclub. That is the reason the baby gets calm on hearing heft rock metal. Following clues, they traced her to a private nightclub that catered to wealthy clients. On asking the manager, he guided them to private rooms upstairs. Inside, the music was gone and the rooms were empty. Boxes of diapers were stacked in the corners. In a back hallway, they found several dead men. They saw framed photographs of the pregnant women together. The woman from the warehouse was among them. A man's voice echoed from another room, speaking on a phone about the donor program. They saw a man talking on the phone how all of the pregnant women are dead and only one managed to escape. There was a dead woman lying on the ground. Smith and Donna entered into another room. Freezers filled with samples and bone marrow samples lined the walls. Smith said there was only a single donor. Donna looked horrified. Smith studied the labels, realizing the truth. The women had been used to bear babies who could serve as genetic donors. The program had been organized to create compatible bone marrow for someone powerful in need of a transplant. One of the guards discovered them. Smith knocked him out and took his ID card. They escaped through a side door and fled in a stolen car. Smith explained what he had deduced. The name Hammerson kept appearing on the files. He was a weapons manufacturer known for political influence. According to Smith, Hammerson's company had sponsored a senator named Harry Rutledge, who was seriously ill. To keep him alive, Hammerson had financed the secret surrogacy program, and Oliver the baby was the only surviving child who could save the senator's life. That was why they were being hunted. They stopped at a small motel to rest. Smith called several news outlets and even the FBI, leaving anonymous tips about the conspiracy. He believed that once the story reached the media, they would be safe. Donna didn't share his optimism but said nothing. After putting Oliver to sleep, she sat quietly and confessed that she once had a baby who was stillborn. She hadn't talked about it in years. Smith listened, awkward but sympathetic. For the first time since they met, he treated her gently. Later that night, they were in bed when assassins burst into the room. The gunfight that followed was chaotic. Smith killed the attackers while shielding Donna and the baby. When it was over, he noticed that every gun bore the Hammerson logo. It confirmed everything. Smith examined the dead men sprawled across the motel floor, each weapon marked with the Hammerson logo. The discovery confirmed his suspicion that the company itself was directly involved. He knew this was no longer about a group of hired killers, but a corporate operation backed by political power. At the same time, Hertz met with Hammerson at the weapons manufacturer's complex. The facility was expansive, filled with automated machinery, research labs, and assembly lines. Hammerson listened to Hertz's report about the failed attacks and expressed frustration over Smith's ability to stay alive. He reminded Hertz that the child was essential to their plan, and that Senator Rutledge's health was deteriorating rapidly. The baby's bone marrow was the senator's only chance at survival, and Hammerson's continued political and financial influence depended on it. Hertz promised to recover the infant and kill Smith personally. Meanwhile, Smith and Donna reached a quiet industrial area on the outskirts of the city. Smith gave Donna a pistol and explained how to use it, making her promise to protect the baby if he did not return. He told her to wait until the following morning and then find a way out of the city. Donna hesitated but agreed. Before leaving, Smith created a diversion for her to enter the military tank. With her and Oliver safely concealed, he turned his attention to the next phase of his plan. Smith placed a call, using his limited connections to arrange a meeting with the senator, offering to deliver the baby in exchange for a sit-down. He knew he had to get close to the center of the conspiracy to end it. Smith arrived at a large, dimly lit warehouse, the meeting place arranged by the senator's security detail. He didn't enter unarmed or unprepared. Before going inside, he meticulously rigged one of his weapons, a large caliber pistol, to a complex pulley system high in the rafters, a silent, deadly trap awaiting its cue. As he secured the line, a van full of Rutledge's men pulled up. They were professional, suited, and clearly military trained, indicating the high level of protection surrounding the senator. Smith moved with practiced speed, taking down the lead man and securing a new weapon in the ensuing chaos, all before the rest of the team realized what had happened. Just as Smith prepared for the senator's arrival, the doors burst open and Carl Hertz entered, flanked by his personal team of gunmen. Hertz's face was a mask of cold fury, his eyes burning with personal hatred that went beyond mere professional assignment. He immediately initiated a gun battle, the sound echoing deafeningly in the enclosed space. As bullets flew, Hertz began to taunt Smith. "Who trained you, Smith? Who taught you to dance?" He snarled, trying to shake his opponent's focus. The taunts escalated, becoming intensely personal. Hertz revealed the chilling truth of their shared past. "I know how your actual wife and son got killed in that place. It was me, Smith. It was always me." He claimed the deaths were a necessary part of Smith's old life catching up to him, a brutal reminder that Smith could never escape his past. The revelation hit Smith like a physical blow. He used the environment brilliantly, dodging fire, reloading with impossible speed, and utilizing his own rigged weapon system. With a well-aimed shot at the pulley, the heavy pistol swung down, unleashing a torrent of high-caliber rounds that swept the floor, taking out several of Hertz's men. Smith then made his final maneuver, escaping the facility through a series of vents and maintenance shafts, disappearing from sight just as the remaining gunmen cornered the empty space he had just occupied. Smith returned to the industrial area where he had left Donna and Oliver. He found them safe inside the armored military truck, Donna gripping the pistol he had given her. Her resolve hardened. He quickly updated her, explaining that the ultimate target was Senator Rutledge himself, who needed the baby's rare bone marrow to survive. Rutledge was Hammerson's path to unprecedented power. If the ailing senator survived and won the upcoming election, he would place Hammerson in a position of complete control over the country's defense and political landscape. Smith knew that ending the senator's life was the only way to save Oliver and dismantle the conspiracy. He insisted Donna leave the city immediately, urging her to trust only her instincts. As they prepared to split up, a black sedan, clearly part of Hertz's network, appeared on the road. Thinking fast, Smith jumped into a different, recently stolen car and sped off, drawing the pursuers toward him. The sedan followed, and a high-speed car chase and gunfight erupted on the busy city streets. Smith drove recklessly, weaving through traffic while maintaining a steady stream of defensive fire, crashing and disabling several vehicles in his wake. The chase intensified when two large black vans carrying more of Hertz's professional gunmen joined the pursuit. They boxed Smith in, firing heavy automatic weapons. Smith returned fire, but the overwhelming numbers were closing in. In a desperate final move, Smith swerved violently, pulling over to the side of the road. He quickly grabbed a heavy, sound-activated baby toy from the back seat, rigged with a loud, electronic cry, and flung it into the path of Hertz's rapidly approaching lead car. Hertz, believing he was running over the baby and finally succeeding, sped up to crush the object. The toy was destroyed, the sound cutting off suddenly. Hertz stopped, satisfied, but when he checked the wreckage, he found only a broken toy. Smith, meanwhile, had used the diversion to slip away and escape into a network of underground tunnels, leaving Hertz to curse his repeated failure. Smith emerged from the tunnels and made his way to a private airport, where the senator's private jet was preparing for takeoff. He had secured the meeting, and one of Rutledge's aides escorted him onto the plane. Inside, Senator Rutledge, looking pale but composed, tried to use soft power, attempting to charm Smith with a fabricated story of being held hostage by Hammerson. Smith, a master of deception himself, was not fooled. The senator was too calm, too smooth. Smith saw the lie instantly. He lunged, trapping the senator in a chokehold. "You made a deal with Hammerson," Smith growled, exposing the conspiracy. At that moment, the door to the cabin opened, and Hammerson and Hertz stepped through. Hammerson, arrogant and confident, confirmed the arrangement. "Senator, you protect our rights, and we protect your life." He threatened to kill Rutledge if he didn't cooperate. Smith, realizing that killing the senator would turn him into a political martyr, whose legacy would still benefit Hammerson, changed his plan. He used the senator's parachute harness, quickly tying Rutledge's arms and legs to it before deploying the chute's ripcord while still inside the plane. He then shot the senator, sending his body spiraling out of the plane, dangling from the parachute. Smith followed, grabbing a second parachute and diving out of the plane himself, as Hertz and his men began firing blindly into the dark sky. Smith's landing was anything but soft. He was badly injured, landing hard in a remote field, and the force of the impact rendered him unconscious. When he awoke, Hertz was standing over him, pistol pointed squarely at his head. Hertz, driven by a deep, personal vendetta that Smith now understood, had tracked him down. Smith was taken back to Hammerson's sprawling weapons facility. During the ride and later back at the complex, Hertz began his final, torturous interrogation. He was focused solely on one thing: the location of Donna and Oliver. Smith remained silent, refusing to break. Hertz, enjoying the power, began to brutally break Smith's fingers one by one. Hertz also revealed that his team had successfully disposed of the senator's body and had covered up the whole event, ensuring the conspiracy would remain a secret. He began to monologue about his own life, his wife and his boy, trying to inflict psychological pain, claiming he was torturing Smith to make him feel the loss Hertz had felt years ago. During one of Hertz's rants, Smith saw his chance. Utilizing a sudden burst of adrenaline and training, he headbutted Hertz, staggering him. The final, brutal hand-to-hand fight erupted. Smith, injured but fueled by rage and his mission to protect Oliver, fought like a cornered animal. He fought his way to Hammerson, finally managing to eliminate the man who had bankrolled the entire conspiracy. Hammerson fell, and Smith escaped the room, with Hertz in hot pursuit, firing wildly. The chase led them into the facility's furnace room, a maze of pipes and heat. Smith, using the environment to his advantage one last time, managed to lure Hertz into a position where he could deliver a fatal, well-aimed shot. Hertz was killed, and the conspiracy died with him. Days later, Smith, scarred but healing, walked out of the facility and boarded a bus. The journey was long, taking him far from the city. He arrived in a small, quiet, unassuming town. He walked into a roadside diner and scanned the room. At a table, he saw Oliver, safe and healthy in a high chair. A moment later, he looked up and saw the waitress approaching his table. It was Donna, smiling genuinely for the first time. They had survived. They had won their simple, violent peace.